I have 6:59. I seem to be the only one that has 6:59.
He didn't do what I told
There's actually a guy,
Yes or no? Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of your Newark City Council order. Please call the roll.
Mr. Barker?
Here.
Ms. Blind? Here. Mr. Harris?
Here.
Ms. Hattiger? Here. Mr. Hauser? Mr. Labutus?
Here.
Mr. Lang?
Present.
Mr. Marmy?
Present.
Mr. Rath?
Here.
Mr. Ryan?
We have 9 here present this evening. Next on the agenda is the invocation by Mr. Harris. If you please rise.
Bow our heads. Father in heaven, Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day you allowed us to live. We ask you, Lord, to help us as we conduct business. Help us to always be in the center of your will. We ask you, Lord, to be with all the candidates that's on the ballot for tomorrow. We ask you, Lord, to guide us, protect us, watch over us. We go home this evening. We pray. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please stay standing. Our pledge gal, Katie Suttles, is sick this evening, so we'll have our other 6th grade student, Spencer Barker, lead us in the pledge.
I'm a really big 6th grader. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have caucus. That's the time for council to discuss anything pertaining to the agenda this evening. We are going to do Rule 11. That's okay with Mr. Marmy. Basically, that means that it hasn't been voted on in committee, but it is an emergency. So we're going to wait and do that during miscellaneous, if that's okay. That way, if anyone wants to make a comment during citizens' comments about it, they can. Thank you, Mr. Marmy. And Mr. Marmy.
yes, I need to make a motion to excuse Mr. Hauser.
Motion by Mr. Marmy, second by Mr. Barker to excuse Mr. Hauser. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. That passes. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I need to abstain
Yes,
on,
ma'am.
on resolution 2298.
2298. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Next, we have the minutes of our October 17th meeting. Is there a motion to approve those? Motion by Mr. Labutus, second by Mr. Harris. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. That passes. Also, we have the minutes of our special meeting on October 24th. Motion to approve those. Motion by Mr. Labutus, second by Mr. Harris. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. That passes. There are no appointments this evening. There are 3 reports from standing committees, 1 from finance, 1 from service, 1 from safety, and 1 from capital improvements. Without objection, those will be received in file. We have reports from city officials tonight, 1 from our auditor, Ryan Bob, the operating report for the period ending October 31st, 2022. Without objection, that'll be received in file. And under communications, we have 2 this evening, 1 from Akron City Council and 1 from the Ohio EPA. Without objection, those will be received in file. Next on the agenda is an opportunity for you to speak. We have comments from citizens. This is not a debate or a question and answer period with council. This is just your opportunity to be heard. For anyone who would like to speak this first section, if you please raise your hand, I'll have you come up in some kind of order. There's also one other section for citizens' comments after the legislation. Anyone like to speak this first session? Sir, want to come on up? You just give us your name. Just come up and give us your name and address for the record. That's it.
Hi, my name is Vaughn White. I live at 15 Grove Street, Newark, Ohio. I represent Roost on the River Music Center.
Could you speak up just a little bit?
I represent Roost on the River Music Center.
Thank you.
Vaughn White, I own it. I understand there is a petition to get a sound ordinance in the city regarding what I thought was for everyone, it seems. It's been directed toward me. I had a meeting with Ms. Moore, the chief of police, and the safety director in the spring. I was assured that there would be a meeting with everyone involved. That would include the Trout Club, the Moose Lodge, the TAP, Midway TAP, and the Hub. I never got a phone call, I never got an email. It was just all run through the newspaper and on radios. And it's directly been put toward me in my venue. The sound ordinance at 50 decibels and 60 decibels. At the courthouse square yesterday, I recorded 87 decibels sitting on a bench. So I don't know what's going on and why I wasn't contacted. I just wanted to touch base because I thought this was about everybody, not me. So I'm lost and I never got told anything. So I'm just wondering what the noise ordinance is, how you're going to enforce it, the equipment you're using and all that, because this is directly pointed toward me.
Thank you. Anyone else's first section, ma'am?
Name and address.
Name and address. Anyone else for this section? Go right ahead.
My name's Danielle Quick and I live at 101 2nd Street Northeast, Newark, Ohio, 43055. I wasn't going to speak my first time here, but I just, I don't know what city council is all about, but I just want to ask you guys, is there a way we can look into proper waste getting rid of, like a recycle? I was down in Florida and they have recycling receptacles and they have trash receptacles that they use, you know, that the city gives to them or the state gives to them. And I just feel like as people who are supposed to be green and care about the environment for our children, a lot of plastic gets thrown away, and it's just something that is heavy on my heart. And it, like, you guys seem like you might be able to look into something like that. So that's all I wanted to bring up.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks for having me.
Okay, we're going to move on to ordinances on the second reading, 22-40.
Mr. President.
Back.
There was someone else.
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Come on in. Thank you.
Rochelle Bowling Smith, 237 Vineland Court. My impression of the sound ordinances was going to be affecting a lot of venues, including houses and cars and things like that. So I don't know where this is coming from that's directed toward one person. So I'm a little confused. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, ordinance 22-40.
Ordinance number 22-40A by Mr. Lang, Mr. Barker, Mr. Labutus, Mr. Marmy, Mr. Harris, and Mr. Rath. An ordinance amending the department authorization tables of the City of Newark Department of Human Resources and creating the position of risk control and education specialist and setting the compensation therefore.
You heard the second reading of 22-40A. What is your wish?
Mr. President.
Mr. Lang.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 22-40A.
Motion by Mr. Lang. Second by Mr. Barker. Is there any discussion on 22-40A? Seeing none, Janine, please call the roll vote.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Ms. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger?
Yes.
Mr. Hauser? Mr. Labutus?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Marmy?
Yes.
Mr. Rath?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
22-40A passes 9-0. Next on the second reading, we have 22-41A.
Ordinance number 22-41A by Mr. Lang, Mr. Barker, Mr. Labutus, Ms. Blind, Mr. Marmy, Mr. Rath, and Mr. Harris. An ordinance amending the department authorization tables of the City of Newark Department of Service, Division of Cemetery and Parks, abolishing the unfunded position of crew leader / project assistant and creating the position of assistant superintendent and setting the compensation therefore.
22-41A is on the second reading. What is your wish?
President.
Mr. Lang.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 22-41A.
Motion by Mr. Lang, second by Mr. Barker. Any discussion on 22-41A? Seeing none, Janine, please call the roll vote.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger,
Yes.
Mr. Hauser, Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang,
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Next, we move on, that passes 9-0. I'm sorry. Next, we move on to ordinances on the first reading, 22-43.
Ordinance number 22-43 by Mr. Labutus, Mr. Barker, Ms. Hattiger, Ms. Blind, Mr. Marmy, Mr. Harris, Mr. Rath. An ordinance amending chapter 634 of the codified ordinances of the city of Newark, Ohio, relative to the noise ordinance of the city of Newark.
This is the noise ordinance I think you were referring to. This will be held 2 weeks until our next meeting. Next, we have 22-44.
Ordinance number 22-44 by Mr. Labutus, Mr. Barker, Ms. Blind, Ms. Hattiger, Mr. Harris, Mr. Rath, and Mr. Marmy. An ordinance amending chapter 648.04 disorderly conduct of the codified ordinances of the city of Newark, Ohio, relative to noise control in the city of Newark and disorderly conduct between family or household members.
And 22-44 will be held for 2 weeks until our next meeting on the 21st of November. Next, we move on to resolutions on the second reading, 22-94.
Resolution number 22-94 by Ms. Hattiger, Mr. Labutus, Mr. Barker, Ms. Blind, Mr. Marmy, Mr. Harris, and Mr. Rath. A resolution appropriating monies for current expenses of the municipal corporation.
For the second reading of 22-94, what is your wish?
Mr. President,
Ms. Hattiger.
move to adopt resolution 2294.
Motion by Ms. Hattiger,
Second.
second by Mr. Harris. Is there any discussion on 22-94? Seeing none, Janine, please call the roll vote.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger.
Yes.
Mr. Hauser, Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang,
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
22-94 passes 9-0. Next resolutions on the first reading, 22-96.
Resolution number 22-96 expedite by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, Ms. Blind, Ms. Hattiger, and Mr. Rath. A resolution appropriating monies for current expenses of the municipal corporation.
Mr. President,
Mr. Marmy,
make a motion to waive the 2-day reading rule on resolution 22-96.
motion to waive the 2-day reading rule by Mr. Marmy,
Second.
second by Mr. Harris. Mr. Marmy,
Yes, Mr. President, we have a bill that was due and it needs to be expedited. Plus, it's that time of year where sometimes our funds are getting a little low in certain categories. So therefore, we have to replenish them and make sure that they stay in the black. So we need to put some of those funds back immediately.
thank you, Mr. Marmy. Janine, please call the roll, waive the 2-day reading rule.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
Ms. Blind,
No.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger,
Yes.
Mr. Hauser, Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang,
No.
Mr. Marmy,
Yes.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
That passes 7-2. We waive the 2-day reading rule. Mr. Marmy,
Thank you, Mr. President. Make a motion to adopt resolution 22-96.
motion by Mr. Marmy, second by Mr. Barker. Is there any discussion on 22-96?
Mr. President.
Mr. Marmy,
Sensing that there's some different opinions about some of the items, I'd like to separate out into 22-96A, the flock safety license plate readers portion of that.
okay, so we're going to vote on 26-96A will be the block, and then 26-96 will be everything else.
Correct.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? We'll better call the roll. Can you please call the roll?
This is to
We're going to,
Amend.
we're just going to call the roll. to amend
Separate.
26,
amend it.
22-96 and A, 22-96 and 22-96 and 22-96A.
So which one?
We're not voting, we're
This is
voting to, we're voting we're voting to see if we're going to do this. Okay.
So this is for the amendment. All right.
Mr. Barker,
No.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
No.
Ms. Hattiger,
No.
Mr. Hauser, Mr. Labutus,
No.
Mr. Lang,
Yes.
Mr. Marmy,
Yes.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
5 yes and 4 no. You have 6 and 3. 5 and 4. Okay. Assistant Law Director takes 6, right?
Correct.
So then, since we don't have 6, we won't be amending it. Is there any discussion on 2296, the way it stands? Seeing none, Janine, please call the roll vote. Are you ready? Sorry. This is a
Point of order.
confused, Mr. Marmy.
I'll make a motion to adopt 22-96 then.
Did we do that already?
No.
He made a motion.
Oh, you made a
to
motion to amend, I'm sorry. Motion by Mr. Marmy to adopt 22-96, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Barker. Is there any discussion on 22-96? Thank you, Mr. Marmy. Seeing none, Janine, please call the roll vote.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Ms. Blind?
No.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger?
Yes.
Mr. Hauser? Mr. Labutus?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
No.
Mr. Marmy?
Yes.
Mr. Rath?
Yes.
And Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
22-96 passes as is 7-2. Now the first reading, we move on to 22-97.
Resolution number 22-97 by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, Ms. Blind, Ms. Hattiger, and Mr. Rath. A resolution appropriating monies for current expenses of the municipal corporation.
22-97 will be held for 2 weeks until our next meeting on the 21st. Next on the first reading is 22-98.
Resolution number 22-98 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Barker, Ms. Blind, and Mr. Marmy. Resolution reauthorizing the Downtown Newark Special Improvement District Incorporated, approving the articles of incorporation, the proposed plan for services for the Special Improvement District, and declaring the necessity to level a special assessment for the cost of services as set forth in the plan and declaring an emergency.
22-98 is on its first reading, but it's an emergency. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Rath.
I make a motion to adopt 22-98.
Motion by Mr. Rath,
Second.
second by Mr. Harris. Is there any discussion on 22-98?
Mr.
Mr.
President,
Rath.
this is the emergency clause because they have a deadline to meet. Did not keep the legislation to us earlier.
Anyone else? Janine, please call the roll to vote.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Ms. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger?
Abstain?
Mr. Hauser? Mr. Labutus?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Marmy?
Yes.
Mr. Rath?
Yes,
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
We have 8 yes and 1 abstention, so it passes. 22-98 passes 8-0-1. Next on the first reading, we have 22-99.
Resolution number 22-99 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Labutus, Mr. Barker, Ms. Hattiger, Mr. Harris, and Mr. Marmy. Resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service to negotiate and enter into contract without competitive bidding for the purchase of block safety system and cameras.
22-99 will be held for 2 weeks until our next meeting on the 21st. And finally, we have 22-100.
Resolution number 22-100 by Ms. Hattiger, Mr. Barker, Ms. Blind, Mr. Harris, Mr. Rath, and Mr. Marmy. A resolution appropriating monies for current expenses of the municipal corporation.
And 22-100 will be held for 2 weeks until our next meeting on the 21st. And that concludes the legislation this evening. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, we have another opportunity for comments from citizens. Again, this is not a debate or a question and answer period with council. This is your chance to be heard. If you'd like to speak, put your hand up and we'll call you up. So come on up. Just give us your name and address for the record.
Hello, I'm Matt McLarisi. I live 444 South Second Street, right in Newark, just up the road. It's recently come to my attention that these flock cameras are to be installed in our city. And this, it seems, is a part of a growing trend in cities across this country, and it's one that deeply troubles me, as well as several Americans who value their privacy and their freedom. So first of all, I understand the position of the Newark City Police Department, having worked through the pandemic myself without stopping. Within several food service establishments, I'm deeply aware of the concept of being short-staffed. I mean, not having the help I needed is more than just an everyday problem. It's basically become a way of life for me and for a lot of people. For that, I deeply empathize. That being said, though, there has to be another way. From what I can see, these camera systems represent a moral and technological dilemma for our city. So while on their face, they may seem like a good idea, ultimately, they're yet another system of power and control that, if left unchecked, could easily turn on the very people they're meant to protect. To begin with, these cameras are only as effective as the people wielding them. And I mean, not to say that anybody now could possibly misuse them, but the morality and proficiency required to operate the system represents a persistent issue that will long outlast those who would seek to install them. You know, besides the obvious risk of them being monitored for corrupt or nefarious means, they also represent a new frontier in technology, one that our city might be ill prepared to deal with. I mean, as I've learned, our police department only recently upgraded their system from one where files were burned onto CD-ROMs. So what assurances basically do we have that this system can't be hacked or accessed by tech-savvy criminals, corrupt businesses seeking to harvest our data, even agents of foreign intelligence agencies, you know, and even our own government, who might seek to use it against political dissidents at some point. People I've spoken to about this issue pretty much universally expressed their unease at the idea. Moreover, the way in which this issue has been brought to the public's attention was the most troublesome because almost nobody knew about it. You know, it seems that this secrecy and haste in which the system is being sought to be implemented does very little to bolster the public trust in its use. You know, beyond the potential abuse and misuse of this technology is a very real liability issue. As I understand it, the company itself holds no liability whatsoever for whatever might transpire due to their misuse. As this is the case, any liability lands squarely on the city of Newark, as I understand it. So I mean, if lawsuits emerge as a result of this, it will be another financial burden that we'll have to deal with. My wife and I are actually putting together a bit more of a comprehensive list of issues we have, but within 15 minutes, we were able to easily do a search and find a lot of stuff online. Most of this is from an ACLU report that they did. So ethically, this company's goal is to expand to every single city in America. The company's already installed cameras in over 1,400 cities, photographed more than 1 billion vehicles every month. It's come into trouble in the past for pushing police departments to embrace their technology without getting approval of the communities that those departments serve. They've been accused of coordinating with police departments in ways that are unseemly for agencies serving the public, such as working with the police to generate positive media coverage, advocating for the company at community meetings, providing the company with neighborhood contact lists, introducing other police chiefs to company sales managers. There's privacy issues, obviously. In addition to the cameras used by law enforcement, the Flock system is connected to private camera owners as well, who are allowed to buy these. And they're all connected on the same network. And so we're seeing businesses and private citizens be a part of this, including neighborhoods, apartment complexes, motels, hotels, malls, hospitals. As for the contract of the city of Heath, there's a lot of ambiguity onto whether or not this private data is actually being sold for profit. Ultimately, too, their effectiveness is being called into question. You know, having an appropriately staffed police department is essential to be able to actually respond to any alerts that these cameras would give off. And without being able to read accurately a plate, these cameras can track specific makes and models of cars, leading to an increase in harassment of innocent civilians by law enforcement. And in turn, criminals have actually responded to these cameras simply by printing fake license plates on paper, which is fairly easy to do. So, you know, I, among many others, have some concerns. This technology has already been misused in several cases. Apparently in New York City and in Birmingham, Alabama, it was used to specifically target members of the Muslim community. An officer in Florida was discovered to be using it to search for romantic interests. Back in 1998 even, an officer pled guilty to extortion after identifying license plates of cars parked at a gay bar and using the information to blackmail the owners. In 2009, a woman named Denise Green was handcuffed, forced to her knees, held at gunpoint, and searched because her car was misidentified as stolen. I believe her kids were involved in that one too. So, I mean, basically, I have some serious questions, and this is not just me speaking. This is everybody I've talked to about this. I know there are some cities that perform stringent monthly audits to track the search history of every query in order to ensure that they're all being made in connection with an ongoing criminal investigation. So is this something the Newark City Police Department is prepared to do? If these records are generated, who is going to have oversight over them? Will the public be made aware if any misuse is discovered while auditing this system? And what metrics were used and will continue to be used to determine how much money is actually saved by implementing this system? And most importantly, what measures are being taken to ensure that this camera system will not be abused, misused, hacked, or that information will be, and will that information be available to the public? I mean, I want to be clear about one thing here. I'm not against law enforcement, obviously. I deeply respect those that take up the badge in an effort to serve and protect. But as a concerned and responsible citizen, I'm just simply seeking an open dialogue about how we can do better with this. And I'm asking all those involved not to allow this to become a divisive issue, but rather work with the citizens of Newark. Do we really want our city to become yet another in a long list of cities under the eye of some Orwellian network of surveillance cameras? And that's basically all I have to say about that. Thank you.
And a lot of that has been discussed. Tim? Anyone else like to speak? Okay. Anyone else?
I do.
Okay. We'll get Jeff here in order.
Tim Walden, 167 South Second Street. And give me a little comment. I'm going to defend the city. And Cheryl, that thing, Jeff, and forth. Sorry, Chief. There was meetings. There was meetings about the noise ordinance. That I can tell you, 'cause I push you guys. I push her. There was meetings here, like what, 4 weeks ago? Was a nice meeting here before the meeting. So, yeah, you don't see this in a long time, because I do defend the city. Another thing, the camera system. You're on camera right now, the worldwide. All around the world, right now. Your pictures.
No.
I'm gonna say, it's pictures, I'm on TV now around the world. And somebody used to work for government, subcontract with government, I know they are watching us now. Now, that's it. 3 weeks ago, Doug mentioned about the homeless people. And I've been sitting back here for years and listening about homeless people, both sides. There's only one thing keep coming up on both sides. What do we do about them? The homeless people and not the homeless people? Well, for several months, I've been on the web and been on about homeless people. Cities, there's several cities are officially making it illegal to be homeless in a city, certain city. The council actually passed laws where you can't take care of them, you can't feed them, you can't house them, you can't do nothing. If you are homeless in that city, you have to have an address in several areas. And it's working. Just recently, Lawrence, California had banned completely in the city. They made them go outside the city. It dropped the homeless people in that city over 89% out of that city. They weren't even allowed to come in the city for water out in the desert. Florida had banned helping, had actually put people, churches in jail because they helped them, like they do down on East Main Street. And there is stuff you guys can do, you guys and girls can do about the homeless. Now, I'm not talking about the ones that really need the homeless, the ones that, yeah, they need it, they want help. I'm talking about the ones that ride around at nighttime or bicycles, steal your cars, or motorcycles, four-wheelers, steal your bicycles, break into your garages and stuff like that. Them guys, you guys can stop overnight, almost, well, over a week. So, okay, I'm sorry, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Danielle Quick. I live at 101 2nd Street Northeast, Newark, Ohio 43055. I just want to just mention that I had no idea that we were thinking about getting a camera system, and I don't know if I'm just not looking in the right places, but just as a Newark resident, as someone who loves the city, and I know it's got its issues, it's definitely changed quite a bit over the past decade, and it's sad to me because I feel like Newark is a special place. But just if there was more communication with all of us citizens, because I really honestly had no idea about this camera system being installed. And I also agree that we are always on, if you have a smartphone, you're on camera, right? Right all the time. So really that doesn't bother me, but I just feel like that money could be put to so much better use since people are already on camera. I just feel like I wish more people knew so we could further, have more informed decisions and thoughts on what we could do otherwise. And that's my, thank you.
Anyone else? Last chance. I got you, Daniel. Anyone else? Okay.
Rochelle Bowman Smith, 237 Violet Court. In terms of the homeless issue, I have not met anyone, and I've met quite a few homeless people that just say, I want to be homeless, I want to be poor, I want to live in poverty. I think introducing the idea of a debtor's prison is not a place we want to go. It didn't work in the medieval times, and it doesn't work now. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Daniel? I know you wanted to go last. Wrap it up.
Something I usually keep to myself that I like to last, but that's okay. All right, Daniel Crawford, 163 South 2nd Street. There's a lot to unpack about tonight. I originally only had one goal when I was talking about the election, but a lot of stuff, like I said, has happened since then. First, democracy is a very fragile thing, beautiful thing, but it's a fragile thing. It requires our constant participation, at every stage, from voting to our constant participation in meetings like this. It's that feedback loop, and that's what we require for this to work. And it's said that Ben Franklin once remarked that they gave us a republic if we can keep it. And part of how we keep it is our participation. So in thinking about that, I was watching obviously as 2296 was being voted on. I was very disappointed that it wasn't amended to be voted on, with a very controversial part of it separate from the rest that wasn't as controversial. And I think that would have been better if it had been voted on separately, because those who voted on the entire measure, obviously we have, 4, now 5, who wanted to separate them. And at least 2 who would have liked to support the bulk of that legislation had it been separated. I just think when it comes to stuff like that, that should be broken apart. And also, if I'm not mistaken, it was also an expedited measure as well. So with that in mind, that's also concerning to me. So whenever we bring up this issue about cameras, I was actually supportive of the traffic cameras that existed right across the street from where I work at Giant Eagle. It was right there at that intersection, and it reportedly reduced accidents and stuff. So I'm not opposed to cameras, but I think there are legitimate privacy concerns that should be expressed, should be shared, should be listened to at length for as long as possible about these things. Some concerns were brought up from around the country where these things have been abused. So that stuff requires our attention in depth. So I think we shouldn't reduce this to saying, if you are concerned about this, you're somehow demonizing the police. We have a great police department here in Newark. Definitely not perfect, because we're humans. We have a lot of imperfections, but I've met a lot of police officers in the area at Giant Eagle. I've worked with a lot of police officers from the Heath Police Department, so I know a lot of the officers in this area are respectable, good people. But that's not to say that something like this couldn't be corrupted at some point, as was mentioned by the previous comment. And I think that's a legitimate concern. Once again, we're given a republic if we can keep it. And part of keeping it is holding it accountable. So I do think that that's important to keep in mind. So, and finally, on the homelessness issue, I hate to be that repetitive person, but we have to remember the human aspect here. And to criminalize people just because they're outside of a house is, I think, horrible. Especially having been homeless myself when I was a child. You know, if my family had just been criminals, just in some way, shape, or form, just because we were temporarily out of the home, like was said before, no one ever asked to be homeless. And it is just a temporary, for most, a temporary stop, you know, from one thing to another. You know, yes, we all enter that from time to time. And finally, on the noise ordinance, I agree, there's been plenty of meetings about that. And obviously, one more meeting coming up. I think it's unfortunate that the gentlemen who were here, they all left before we could reach this part of the meeting. But I think it is well past time for a noise ordinance to be clear in this city. So thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Any city officials? Assistant Law Director Clickinger. Thank you. We'll cut you some slack. You don't have a Clemson tie on, you don't have any of that stuff, so we'll let it go. Mayor Hall.
Clemson had a rough weekend.
Yes, they did.
Safe Trick or Treat was last Thursday, and I truly want to thank all the downtown businesses that did such a great job serving probably well over 1,000 children and a lot of smiles on a lot of faces. Weather was very cooperative. We had all kinds of weather on that night, but it was great, and it's just a great sight to see. On Friday, attended the Lifetime Achievement Award reception for the hospital, and I'll congratulate Drs. Tom and Mary Beth Hall, of course, receiving an award, but they live in Newark, and I've done a lot of good things in the community, but also the Boys and Girls Club that does such great things with our students and had a great summer program, but also have a great active school program throughout the year, and they're making great strides in our community. Rolling Thunder Toy Run was yesterday. It's been a busy past several days, and I think probably they set records, but my gosh, we probably watched, my wife and I waved probably for 20, 25 minutes how long that parade was, and it was outstanding. So it really fills the Salvation Army with some wonderful toys and helps hundreds of families have a great Christmas, again, putting smiles on some kids that may otherwise not have such a good Christmas. And finally, this Friday is Veterans Day. I'd encourage everyone to reach out and thank a veteran and keep in mind in your thoughts and prayers those that gave their lives for freedom. So we have events across the city and across the county. So please try to attend if you'd like. Veterans Park down here on 6th Street, we'll have at 11 o'clock. Usually the newspaper has a pretty good thing, but 11 o'clock, and then the VFW Hall will also have food at 2 o'clock. And there's an event at the Trout Club at 5:30. So among other things, with that, I will pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Parker.
Thank you, Mr. President. Want to congratulate, on Friday, I attended the grand ribbon cutting reopening of the Yes Club here in downtown Newark. Moved back in May of last year, caught fire and pretty well gutted the place. It coincided with actually the 30th anniversary of the creation of the Yes Club. And so it was nice to see that facility's been totally rebuilt. It's really what the kids need. Even through COVID and the fire and everything, they were able to maintain their membership and help kids of all ages. So it was great to see that. I want to say good luck to the Newark Catholic volleyball and football teams who this week, the volleyball will be playing in the Final Four on Thursday, and football will be working towards the quest for their regional title on Saturday. Good luck to those athletes there. As you all know, I am the president of the Licking County Courthouse Lighting. We'll have a press release coming out this week announcing the event at the end of the month. Unfortunately, due to some construction still happening at the courthouse, we're going to have a little bit of a modified lighting, but we've gotten through COVID, we've gotten through other construction projects, so we'll make it through. And then with that, I would just urge everyone to make sure you go vote tomorrow. Polls open early, and make sure you exercise your right. And with that, I will pass.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Ms. Blind?
Thank you, sir. And I'm grateful that everyone has come and voiced their opinions and concerns and their great input concerning the sound ordinance. I wish the gentleman had stayed. That way we could have spoken more about it. And we've had many community meetings. We had a large one at Ben Franklin where our great law director, she gave just a wonderful presentation of what it is and what it is not, as far as the sound ordinance. And I really appreciate her hard work as well as Mr. Barker on working through that. So, ma'am, Ms. Quick, I am a great recycler as well. And gratefully, the Newark has many receptacle sites where you can take things, to be recycled, large and small.
Right,
And so, yes, every weekend I'm hauling things over there. So,
right.
so, yeah, and it does save a little bit of cost. I've participated in recycling programs before, and it puts a little bit of a tariff on your refuse bill. And so it's nice to be able to freely take things there at no charge. So, I hope, that's a help to you. Matt and Sarah, thank you for coming. Thank you. It's just been a joy and a privilege to hear yourself and the other citizens and their opinions on the cameras. And this is a great opportunity for public communication. I've not heard one person say anything negative about our police department, not one person. They are 100% behind our police officers. I think it's like she had said, and like you had said, it's just the ambiguity, as well as it came suddenly, the information did. And so there's still time for public gathering, for information to be put out. There's still time. So I'm willing to do whatever is open. Truth be told, we had a meeting planned at Ben Franklin, but I got sick. And in my illness, I didn't get a chance to get the law director involved, and therefore there would have been no purpose in having it without her or the chief of police. And so we canceled it. As far as the homeless issue, this is an opportunity again for dual accountability. And working in this venue for many years, one of the things, and even been in a position as a women's outreach director, one of the things that have been very valuable is something that we term targeted compassion. Is that, people feel good about going out and giving things away without understanding that not all things are received well. And not all things are purposely received, and therefore we see what's left. And sadly, it's a great cost to the citizens and to the city. And so just in taking care of this in steps, that for me would be a first step, is monitoring what's being given and is it being purposefully used. Quickly, thank you to property maintenance. They are taking care of properties that have troubled communities for quite some time. And again, great work they're doing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Blind. Mr. Harris?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank Property Maintenance and Dave Rhodes for helping me take care of a situation we had in the city. And also, like our president had a birthday last week. He turned 75. Sherry had a birthday yesterday. She's turned 25. And
That's what you want to do.
I've been waiting to wear my Cleveland Browns tie for a long time, and they finally beat the Bengals last Monday night. So I'm proud to wear my Browns tie tonight. So, and Alabama got beat, Clemson got beat, and Dusty Baker won the World Series. So it was a great weekend. But that let pass.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Not quite 70.
Okay.
Ms. Ottinger?
I was never good in math.
I got it. Completely understand that now.
Not quite 25 either. I will be brief, but I just wanted to say a couple things that are exciting for downtown Newark. I know that Councilman Barker and Councilman Harris were with me when we attended the groundbreaking for the new arcade building. What a wonderful opportunity for downtown Newark to bring in businesses and residents and just have some I don't know, bring more life and activity to downtown. Of course, it won't be done until February of 2024, but wonderful opportunity. So a lot of people participated in that, donors in the city, and a lot of people with far places to make this happen. So very exciting. And then thank council for passing resolution 22-98. I had to abstain on because I'm on the board of the SID. That's another renewal for the SID, 5 years, another great thing, opportunity for downtown Newark. We've made substantial progress in the last 5 years. I know we'll continue to make progress. So thank council for that. And if you are interested, you can come to our annual meeting, which is Wednesday night this week on the stage of the Midland. It starts at 6 p.m. There's a brief election, and we'll have a meeting and discuss future plans for the next 5 years. So it's free to anyone who wants to come. And then how exciting that the wonderful roundabout out here, at least it's open on 2 sides.
Halfway.
Yes.
So 3 sides, so I can go south. I didn't try to say. So thank you, whoever made that happen. I appreciate that. That's cool.
Thank you, Ms. Ottinger. Now we can just get the bridge and then. Mr. Labutus.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was going to mention the roundabout out here as well. It's great to see it open on 3 sides. Progress. Also need to thank Service Director Rhodes. He helped me get a stop sign that had fallen down back up over the weekend. So that people knew where to stop and not have a traffic issue. Very important. And then also want to remind everyone to vote tomorrow if you haven't already. Do your civic duty. With that, I will pass.
Thank you, Mr. Labutus. Mr. Lang.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. So resolution 2296, Daniel, I couldn't agree with you more. That was one of the most puzzling votes I've been a part of. I don't understand why we couldn't have separated that. It would have been a pretty easy discussion. That said, Matt, thank you for your comments as well. It was good to hear somebody repeating some of the things I had identified with the issues with the terms themselves, because I do think we're moving along pretty quick on that. I'm hopeful that our esteemed law department can make some changes and negotiate some of those terms. There are many things I find troubling with the terms. The latest one I noticed was that we're signing away our right to designate where the locations are. The terms I read said that Flock gets final say on it. So my hope is we're able to work with Flock and at least come to some agreeable terms and are able to move forward. I do think we're still being hasty and don't quite have all the terms in place, don't quite have all the checks and balances in place. I guess I would, as much as I do support the police department, I would urge the police department to consider some communications on Flock and how it's going to be implemented. So we're answering some of these questions about how we're going to have accountability and how we're going to go forward in a way that's responsible as a community if this is something that ultimately we're going to do. So with that, I will just urge everybody to get out and vote tomorrow on another important election, and I will pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. Mr. Marmy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I need to call a finance committee meeting for November the 21st. A number of things that were kind of discussed. Noise ordinance, I wish the gentleman would have stayed also. I believe it's Vaughn. But I mean, even the fact that he thinks that it was a new noise ordinance, we're just modifying our old noise ordinance actually. So, and it's not targeted towards just one individual or one location. It is going to encompass the entire city limits and be enforced fairly and equitably. So just a little bit of comments on that. Let's see. I guess next I want to talk just a little bit about the Flock system. I'm in support of the system. I believe that the cameras will be beneficial for law enforcement. I think it'll deter criminals from actually coming into our community. And I'm hoping that it will create a reduction. My only concern all along has been, it's kind of ironic, the safety of the data. And that's what is very puzzling, is the fact that the data and it's being utilized by our safety forces, but yet we're not safeguarding the data, and Flock is not, they actually have a clause in the contract that holds them harmless completely of any kind of data breach. And, so some of the concerns as far as that those were my only concerns. I am supportive of the system itself. I just want to make sure that the data is secure and safeguarded, and that also that we have procedures in place in case there is a breach of that data. Finally, I just want to talk a little bit about the homeless. I've heard a number of things this evening, as far as ideas, suggestions, and implications. I guess the biggest thing that I want to make sure that, yes, I believe in the human aspect of helping those who need assistance and who need help with a path from being homeless back to having shelter. I believe in the human aspect of making sure that we have things in place to protect folks who need that temporary type of a situation. I disagree with some of the comments that folks are choosing not to remain homeless, that they're not choosing. I believe that there are folks who are choosing to stay homeless. Maybe they didn't start there and didn't ask for it to begin with, but now that they are there, they're choosing to do that. Whether it's refusing help, whether it's refusing to do something about their substance abuse, whatever the situation is, they're not choosing the path that we have. Great avenues of help in the city of Newark, very, very generous organizations, very generous individuals who are willing to assist. I believe that it should not be criminalized to be homeless, but some of the activities of some of those that are homeless should be criminalized. And the human aspect is that property owners should not have individuals defecating on their property. Property owners should not have to clean up needles, tents, garbage, all of that on their property. The human aspect of it is their human aspect of it too, equally. Both of them equally, we have to have the human aspect of that. We're trying to work together with organizations. Some organizations want to remain in a silo. We can't do anything about that. We then need to just do what we can do as a city and as a city council, as an administration, as a safety force, what we can do to try to help this city to become better at helping those that want the help and also deterring those that don't. And if there's criminal activity with them being homeless, with individuals who are homeless, then we need to do something to stop that or eliminate that. And that's where I feel we need to come from as a city and as a legislative body. We need to make sure that our current laws are being enforced. And if we need to adopt some laws or incorporate some new laws to make sure that criminal activity can be enforced, then we need to do that. I also want to wish Newark Catholic, both the volleyball and football team, the good fortune this weekend. Both programs have worked very hard. I think it's an exciting time for Licking County as far as the playoffs. There were a number of teams. Unfortunately, Newark Catholic's the only teams that have advanced at this point. So I want to wish them well. And hopefully we'll have them in here. We always celebrate state champions, and I know that's both teams' goal. And I look forward to hopefully having them here and representing themselves as state champions. And with that, I will pass.
Thank you, Mr. Marmy. Mr. Rath?
Thank you. Matt, I wanted to say thank you for coming out. I appreciate all your comments. I agree with a lot of them, but the concerns that you have are the same concerns that we all have. That was awesome. The one thing that I will take issue with is the secrecy part. We didn't do anything in secrecy. We had a lot of meetings here in these chambers. All all those meetings are published online. All those meetings are public record. All the discussion that we had was public record. It's all available. We aren't sending out notices in the newspaper or dropping flyers or leaflets on everything that we do. You just gotta be here or watch it online. And it's just, I mean, that's not secrecy. This is all public. So there is no secrecy to it, but I do have a lot of the same concerns that you have as well. The nice thing about this is that we're funded 2 years, in 2 years only. At the end of the 2 years, I'm going to ask for metrics, physical metrics, actual metrics that shows how this works and is it worth the money that we spent to do it, before I will ever vote to do it again. I'm excited about it. I think it is. I am for the program. I think it'll help us. I had some serious concerns when it first came out. Most of those concerns have been answered. I'm okay with that. But I still have concerns like everybody else does. So it'll be nice to revisit this and see where it goes, how it's helped, if it's helped, and then we'll assess there. Daniel, one of the questions that I had, one of the concerns I had was corruption. And it's just not founded. It just isn't going to happen. There are lots of checks and balances that are in place that just will not allow that to happen. I know Matt mentioned one corruption case that we talked about, but that was dated 1996. It was a long time ago. That's not current information. I got all kinds of things written down here and try to read my notes. As far as Doug, I get to your comments on the homeless are spot on. But I agree with you. There are some deniers out there that will not, and I'm okay with that. I know that there is a process that we need to go through to improve the situation here in Newark. And I know that process, part of that process is going to be painful. But we need to do it nonetheless. We just need to have the will to move forward and do that. I'm excited to see that we're getting body cameras for our police officers, and that is coming soon. Is that correct? Awesome. Not soon enough. We've been talking about that for months, but it's coming soon, and I'm happy about that. As far as the bridge I want to bring up the bridge again on Cherry Valley Road, because I know there's been some letters to the editors written and some other things that have been said. And I'll just say this, that bridge being closed has inconvenienced thousands upon thousands of people. It has affected the business workings of hundreds of different businesses. It has decreased our response time. I wonder how much longer it took our trucks to get to the Buxton Inn when that was on fire. Because I know we responded to it. I know we didn't respond very quickly because we had to go around that. It affects the response time of everybody west of Cherry Valley Road to get to the hospital. Notice I said everybody. I mean, everybody. Doesn't matter who you are. It affects everybody. We found a company. First off, we have an engineer that came up after doing research with some brilliant ideas. We found a company that has the skill to bring those ideas to fruition. And it is available on our timeline, which is very short and very tight, to complete that. I don't know. I mean, I only have 2 words for that. Thank you. It's nice to be able to get that done. It will be a huge relief to just thousands of people. If you have a problem with that, somewhere else. Go somewhere else. Seriously. Right now, go somewhere else. I want to encourage you to vote tomorrow. Vote appropriately. You don't like to wait. I'm not about it. you know, vote the way you want to vote. Next Friday is Veterans Day. Remember to think about veterans. Remember, and please remember it's Veterans Day, not Memorial Day. Veterans Day is a day to thank those who served our country, not those who gave their lives. That's Memorial Day, but those who served our country. Remember to thank a veteran. I don't know, I think I've said it enough.
Thank you, Mr. Rath. And we can reuse the bridge. You forgot.
Yes.
And we can reuse the bridge.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll, yeah.
I didn't mean to start again. I just want to add. Keep going next. Thank you, Mr. Rath. Mr. Ron?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a few things, mainly about the flock cameras. I appreciate Matt coming in and speaking. It is a very slippery slope. I think we all support the progressive safety of our citizens. So I pretty much checked all the boxes. The main thing was follow the money where Flock is, so the investors. So one of the main investors in Flock is Peter Thiel. So Peter Thiel, he is one of the first investors in Facebook. He invested $500,000 back or thousands. Now he's a billionaire. So you know that's all fine and dandy, but I think we all kind of know what Facebook does to an extent. You know, they advertise about how they do it. They kind of do it in malicious ways. So again, 110% support behind the police. You know, I've had friends' cars stolen. I've had, you know, my buddy's diesel truck was stolen, never found. You know, so my friends are in support of the cameras. Trust me. It's just that you know, Matt, do some research on, you know, just follow the money, and you'll see there's another company right here. It's called Palantir, and they openly work with the CIA and with the NSA. So they're not hiding it. That company was founded by Peter Thiel. So it's just like, it's the information after it's captured, where is it going, I guess. So, I know that's written in the contract, but, you know, when Facebook was, you know, first brought up, I don't think any of us thought it would be what it is today. So it's a perfect example of what cameras might be in the future. So with that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Well, I think everything's been pretty well covered, so I won't bother to go over any of that again, but don't forget to vote tomorrow. If you haven't already voted, please vote tomorrow. Please be part of the democracy. I know there's a lot of talk about democracy being ended, but you need to vote if you haven't. Mr. Marmy, you want to talk about Rule 11?
Certainly.
Let me have Jenny read it.
Sure.
Jenny, you want to go ahead and read that, and we'll do Rule 11.
Resolution number 22-105 by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, Ms. Blind, Mr. Harris, Mr. Labutus, Ms. Hattiger, and Mr. Rath. A resolution authorizing the mayor to make application to and enter into agreements with the Ohio Department of Transportation State Infrastructure Bank for a loan in the amount of $5 million for the LIC Thornwood Crossing Bridge and Roadway Construction Project, PID 87642, authorizing the execution of all documents necessary to effectuate the same and declaring an emergency.
Further reading of 22-105, what is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Marmy.
I make a motion to waive the 2-day reading rule on resolution 22-105.
Motion by Mr. Marmy, second by Mr. Lang. Mr. Marmy, want to add anything to that?
Oh, wait a minute.
It is emergency.
Yeah, I didn't even need to do that. I can just make a motion to adopt.
Thank you, Mr. Marmy.
Yeah,
Mr. Lang, second by Mr. Lang.
And yes, I do.
We're not waiving the 2-day reading rule because it is emergency, so you don't have to do that on the emergency. Mr. Marmy.
Yes, just to let folks know who were not here during committees, basically, we are applying for this loan to have it in place in case it is necessary. We're anticipating and hopeful that ODOT will supply a lot of the funding, and that either none or not all of this will be necessary. But we have to have it in place in order to make sure that we can move forward with the project. We have to have funding sources there, so that's what this is for.
Mr. Marmy, anyone else? And this is replacing the bridge that we're temporarily replacing. Okay, Janine, please call the roll vote.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger,
Yes.
Mr. Hauser, Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang,
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
That passes 9-0. And with that, thank you for coming. We appreciate it tonight. We appreciate your input. Come anytime. Is there a motion to adjourn? So, motion by Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Bruce. All in